Job totals. Job totals is the final summary where we add in overhead and profit. We can add any quoted items and any other expenses to finalize the bid. At the completion of the job extension, we can simply go over to Job Totals. Before the Job Totals report will open, it's going to prompt us or remind us that we have not put, in this case, a fixture quote in. So we'll hit OK, and we'll hit OK again. So this small window here is where we finalize the bid. The $3,678 came from the job extension. This is all of our non-quoted material, pipe and fittings and all the other miscellaneous materials that are not included in the quotes for the fixtures in this case. So to add a quote, we simply click on the line here for quotes. We can put in quotes for up to 6 different suppliers. We can enter an itemized breakdown, or we can put in a lump sum quote for the entire package down here. We're going to scroll down to the actual fixtures. Here's a lavatory. Now this price we're entering here would include all of the trim and accessories that go with the lavatory, including the faucet. So we're going to put in $295. For the urinal, we'll put in $285. For water closet 1, $265, and $325 for this one. Again, we can put in prices for more than one supplier. We can also enter the name of the supplier. With this little button up here, we can type it in here, or we can pick it from a menu here. We're going to add one in. This will stay in the program. If we enter prices for more than one supplier, the program will default to picking the lowest available. Or you can override it and tell it to select the one that you prefer, even if their price isn't the lowest. When we hit OK, it brings us back to the summary, the job total screen. It adds that to the rest of the material, plus it updates the sales tax. Now, this sales tax was created as a default. If you need to change the sales tax for this particular job, you simply click on it, and we can change it right here. So this is our total material, $85.93 and change. The labor hours here are multiplied by the labor rate. Now this labor rate again comes from the setup part of the program, and it would represent your cost of labor. Not what we're going to charge the customer. We're going to add overhead and profit later. But this rate of $29.02 in this case represents a crew mix of half journeymen and half helpers. These are the base rates we've put in earlier, and the burden to pick up additional labor cost paid by the employer, payroll taxes, workers' comp, general liability, and any benefits. If we change the numbers here, it only would change them in the job. It doesn't change the setup. That's in a different part of the program. So I can make any adjustments I need to here. We're going to leave the numbers like they are for now. Again, the average composite labor rate for this example is $29.02 an hour. If I need to add additional labor, an example here might be driving time. If the job was going to require additional driving time because it was outside of our normal area, we could add some hours on this line. We're going to put in 12 hours. We'll use the same rate. And then you can make as many entries here as would be appropriate. So that's labor hours over and above the normal installation hours, which are covered up here. We've got 3 more categories for things we can enter in this part of the program. The direct job expenses have examples like permit. If we wanted to put in some money for truck fuel cost. If we were working out of town and we need an allowance for meals or per diem or any other items here, we can add in. And if you don't see something you need, you just type it in here and put in the price. These 3 categories are all very similar. They just give you some different selections. If we need to rent a backhoe, we can plug in the money there. You can see some other typical items that you might add here. And subcontracts. If we're going to subcontract the excavation, or the backfill, or maybe the insulation. And again, you've got blank lines where you can add items. So what we've come down to here now is what we call the job subtotal or the prime cost. This $15,556 is our hard cost. There's no markup yet here for overhead or profit. It's our break-even number, basically. So for overhead, we can add it as a percentage to the entire job. Or if we prefer, we can change to the option up here to go by category, where we could put in different percentages on material or labor or other expenses. We're going to leave it just as 15% on the entire job. You can even put in just a dollar amount down here. And then finally, profit. This is added on top of overhead. Again, it can be done by category or assigned to the entire job. We'll just put in 10%. So now we have a number down here that includes overhead and profit. In the original job setup, we had told the program that the job was a 7,500 square foot job. So it gives us a cost per foot over here. That's before markup, and this is with overhead and profit. Again, these are sometimes handy check figures. If you have any historical data with similar jobs, you can go back and look at what the cost per foot was on those jobs to see if this one was falling in the same range. And if it wasn't, maybe you go back and check to see if there was a good reason for that. The final reports, there are a couple options here. Print summary just gives us the basic information on the job that was on the previous screen, but in a print format. If we close this report, we can do the one I would recommend is the print details. And we're going to include the quote details. So this is a good report to print out for yourself for internal purposes, to keep a copy with the job, maybe in the folder. It's got all the details in the job. It's got our material totals up here. If we come down a little bit further, we have the quoted material. So there's our total material with tax. Next is labor, broken out by the different categories. These are labor hours. On the next report, we'll go back up to the top. Here's our labor crew of half journeymen and half helpers. There's the total hours and the total rate and the total dollars of labor. Then come the other miscellaneous expenses. There's non-productive labor, direct job expenses, tools, subcontracts, and again, this number here is our prime cost. And then overhead, profit, and the total. Again, this report can be printed with the printer icon, or it can be saved as a PDF file, which would allow you to print it later or to send it as an attachment to an email.